What's up guys, James from AimSurplus, back with another product spotlight, kind of an install. So you guys hear me, some of the other guys rant about how superior the Apex trigger makes your M&P 2.0. Well, there's a possible additional option. Timney came out with their Apex competitor. The Alpha competition series works on the 1.0, 2.0. Now, I've been told if you run this trigger in the 1.0, you'll have a slightly higher pull, and that's not a bad thing, especially if it's your concealed carry setup. So this trigger does things a little bit different than Apex. They kind of just take the stock setup and go with the flow. There's no need to switch out springs or your sear actuator and risk losing a bunch of stuff. They give you a plunger and you swap that over with your factory spring, take your factory sear off, toss the Timney sear in, get the Timney trigger shoe, switch the factory shoe out, and you're good to go. Like I said, there's no changing of springs or actuators, or mitigate that risk of losing stuff, which happens. Now, I was skeptical. I've done probably 45, 50 different Apex installs, and I can easily get them down to 2 pounds, sometimes less when they're broken in. So seeing these guys advertise 3-pound pull without changing as much stuff caught my attention. We have these unissued law enforcement trade-in M&Ps. Brand new. Lee said, hey, let's throw it in there and see what happens. So let's test the trigger pull on this guy right out of the box. So the newer flat style trigger from Smith & Wesson, it's not bad at all. It feels really good. And as you can see, we're getting pulls of 4 to 5 pounds, depending on how we pull and where we pull on the trigger. You can really game these. If you get a really low pull and just rip it, it's gonna show really low and mislead you. So I wanted to do a couple different pulls. Personally, I like to measure from the wall. You prep your shots, that's where you're pulling from anyway. There's no pre-travel, fire, let it reset, get back to prepping and go. So let's toss this trigger in and then we can measure it afterwards, see how it performs. All right, we're gonna take all this Timney stuff. We got safety plunger, sear, there's a slave pin back there, new trigger, and we're gonna dump it into this bad boy. All right, first things first, most important part, let's just make sure the gun is clear. You can see there's nothing in there, no mag, no ghost rounds that are gonna fly in there and scare me. All right, we're safe, good to go. You can do this first part 2 ways. You could leave the slide on the firearm, get those screws out so you can remove that optic plate. I like to take it completely off. Much less to worry about. I don't know, this is the way I prefer it, it's easier. So the next part is pretty much the part I hate the most. Usually you struggle to find an Allen key to fit that. That is where your safety plunger and safety plunger spring are. You need to get that out so you can swap it. The fun part is finding that Allen key. You're gonna get 5 or 6 of them, and you're gonna lose all of them at some point. Then you'll find one, and it's a cycle. It is much like the 10mm socket in the automotive world. The cool part about the Timney setup, they give you what you need right off the bat. I love this. This is one of my favorite things. So let's get this guy out of here. Okay, we got that out. We've got your spring right here. Keep everything where you can see it because much like the Allen key, you're probably gonna lose it. All right, so now all that good stuff is out. Then take this, push down on your striker, slide that back plate off. Then push the plunger down, striker comes out. Then your plunger is ready to exit. Push that guy down, good to go. Now, you take your OEM plunger, put it in a Ziploc bag, keep it somewhere safe because you're probably gonna need it at some point. All right, now that you've got everything out of here, you grab your new Timney piece, drop that guy on the top, then you take the spacer and the spring, install that, put it all together like you just took it apart. Okay, now this is all back together. You are gonna take your striker, reinsert that, push down on the plunger, get that to go back in, put your back plate on, and then we can get started on the lower. Good to go. Ready for, putting the optic plate back on, or if you have your optic, throw that bad boy on. All right, now for the frame pieces. You are going to use a punch and you're gonna remove the 2 locking blocks. You have your locking block up front and your sear housing block. Let's get those out. You hit this pin to get the trigger out, and then this pin to get the rear housing out. Super simple. Okay, so you've got your 3 pins out. Now you get to the front, tilt that just enough, slide the locking lever out. Okay, you have everything out of the gun that you need to complete this. So first, let's do the sears first. I like that part. Get the trigger out of the way. All right, so you have your rear sear block. This little pin right here, you're gonna push out from the right-hand side. Do it slowly. Keep your thumb over the sear because it is under tension, so sometimes it can shoot out, sometimes it doesn't. But you just thumb over. Here's the pin on the other side. Push it through, it falls out. Before I do anything else, I will grab that piece, set it with the other stuff I don't want to lose. I have learned the hard way. Now I'm going to remove the punch, get my finger over that. Sear pops off, so does the sear actuator. Now you take your Timney sear and you just swap it on. Actually, a note I should say that we just found out. The newer M&P 2.0s changed it up a little bit. The OEM sear spring in here is longer. They used to have a little spacer that would sit in there to give it the proper tension. They removed that because that's one of the most common things lost, and they're like $5 a piece. Now they just have a longer spring, gives it the proper tension, proper length, and you don't have to worry about losing it. My sear, kind of my way. I will take the sear, place it where I need to, get the pins started, get this guy into place, and then I have it in there, it's secure, it's not going anywhere. And now I can take the actuator and just slide it into place. Back that off for some room. And just boom. Now you're good to go. Everything is where it should be. Got your new Timney sear in here. Set that off to the side. And now we can work on the trigger shoe. All right, with the trigger shoe, usually you just gotta punch this out and then new trigger shoe comes on and then you gotta press it back in, and it's kind of a hassle. What's cool about the Timney, I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's actually an Allen key, so it just screws right in, and so it's not a tension-based pin, but it's a lot easier to install. You don't need a vise, and you don't swear as much when you're installing it. It's actually pretty cool. Let's go ahead and swap these over. Let's get that guy out of there. You got the clearance. I like to leave a little bit on there so I have something for the trigger bar to actually hook onto and kind of help me stay in place. Some hair more. That way it's just one less thing I got to worry about holding on to. There we have it. Tighten this up. good to go. Now we can go ahead and put this guy back in the frame, get it all reassembled, and then we can test it and see how light this guy is. All right, so we got our empty frame, nothing in it. Now we gotta put it back together. Starting from the rear, you take the rear block, get that guy lined up. There's grooves, so it can only go in one way, and it can only line up with the proper hole for the pin. Sometimes you get this where it looks like it's in all the way. Pop that guy down until it snaps in, then it's flush. Then you take your trigger, and slide it into the spot. Good to go there. And you get your slide lock, throw that in. Then you take the front block, and you don't put it all the way in because you still have to get that slide lever back. Okay, so it's slightly elevated still. Get that guy into place. Push down. Good to go. Okay, so I got it in there. Did it my way. I don't like using certain things, but it's in there. Still got to get this flush. So I will take the punch, the pin, got them flush. Seems to function okay. Okay, everything's good. Not too bad. It is based on the hinge trigger of the original M&P, not the new flatty, but I don't hate it. It's not bad. Let's test the weight, see what that's at. .6, not bad. .411. .46. 4.5. Let's try it down low, see what that does for the pull. 3.8. I don't hate it. I don't love the hinge. I'm not a huge fan of that, but it doesn't feel terrible. For a concealed carry option, most people aren't gonna want a 2-pound trigger or sub 2-pound trigger. I'm so used to it, I run it that way, I like it. But this isn't a bad option. Feels good. I wish it didn't have so much pre-travel. I wish it started right here, then you hit your wall, and then went, but you got wall, break. Not terrible, I felt worse. Timney trigger, not bad. I will say, after dry firing this thing over and over, it did get lighter and lighter. I was hitting 2.9 to 3.1 pounds every time. If I wanted to claim a super light pull, you could, like I mentioned before, game it, rip one through, so you shouldn't be fooled if people are out there claiming 110, 112 pull weight. In my humble opinion, I don't hate these. I think it has a little too much pre-travel for my liking. That's just my personal opinion and how I like to set my pistol up. That being said, I think this is an absolute fantastic option for a carry gun, and it's at a cheaper price point than your metal Apex. Slightly easier install, so I think it's a very, very good option, especially if you don't like the Apex shoe or the forward set sear or the price point. I think for the average user, this is a great option. I'm gonna see if they wanna keep one of these down in the showroom for the locals to try out. So if you happen to be a local, swing by, check one out. If not, you're just gonna have to check them out on the website. Either way, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.